Alright. GM. Let me do that. Been any more news? This was a good headline. But I mean, in the past 1 hour, it was like a complete 180, I think. Also, is the stream quality clearer this time? Like, is it not compressed? You can read it and everything. BTCs. Yeah, I mean, I think we have the potential, but also the kind of red flag I see here is you see a ton of like buy delta into this high. I think someone's shorting into this like a lot. So I think there's a short specifically around 71,800. Like where I kind of want to long is say we get like a sweep down to around the value area low of this TPO. Like 70.6k would be pretty sweet. You have multiple composites. Plus it was also kind of the low before we grinded up higher here, so I feel like it would make sense. Let's go. Is it actually day open? Oh, it is too. Oh, that's funny. I think it makes sense. Like a little sweep at daily open plus that level. There's a ton of confluence there. Sweep it in like next 30 minutes, 1 hour, or maybe this morning, and then I think we run it up like turbo. Probably take out that high. Something like that. Okay, Vol actually got sold. That's good. Futures up again. That's good. Dollar down. These are all good signs. TP gradually. Yeah. Nice. So you basically scalped that from like down here somewhere. Monday's inside day high right now. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I mean typically we tend to like sweep that. We either sweep the Monday high or the Monday low around middle of the week, and then that always becomes like the pivot. Plans to install some of the big standards. Blah, blah. Bullshit. Other random crap we don't care about right now. Russian foreign minister on US South Korea drills. It's a preparation. Okay, yeah. It's retarded. Jam. Stepped up efforts to secure. Okay, so that's 33 minutes ago, and then Iran obviously declares that they want an end to the war. All right, so I wonder, is this like the capitulation kind of event that we talked about in terms of both sides, instead of fighting on like war egos that they can win, they're both seceding now and actually discussing the terms for the end of the war. If it's true, we'll probably know in the next couple hours, which is massive. Also needed, to be honest. So I mean, fucking, we can seriously not sustain, I think, the rest of the war, to be honest. What the fuck is this? Micro DME. Oh, I mean, oh, that's really a liquid. Uh, energy. Yeah, CL 87, below 100. These are both better. But I think if we go to the actual curve for CL, yeah, like the front end curve, I believe has priced in, I believe it was like 90 or 100 that I read apparently. That's always, it's $3 lower than it was yesterday. And you can see basically by Jan, it's back down. So like essentially all this section of the curve is the market's priced in higher like oil prices, obviously because of the lack of supply coming out of the Gulf, but also the really high demand, which has strained the Gulf of America's ability to, I think, produce quick enough. And let's check FX. Euro, basically the same as 2 days ago, a little bit lower. Yeah. I mean, not much really has changed in terms of currencies yet. So the larger markets like, forex currencies, bonds, probably commodities. Commodities will be much more reactive since they've been really volatile as of lately. But those three will have massive moves, I think, if there's a end to the war officially today or tomorrow, or even end of week, the market's gonna try to price that in. And I think like most of Bitcoin's move up has been somewhat pricing in the probability of that, which was this move essentially, primarily this move, but also as a whole, since since Sunday. What do you think now? Yeah, basically shopping around here. I'm quite confident there is definitely a short seller around the current price. What the fuck? It's about 10 mil. It's clean. Someone aped 10 mil, I think. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, it came in with like sizable volume too. Like 200, 163. So like call it like 363 plus the 34. Like 400 Bitcoin. Someone just aped into market. Looks like they even tested before with like a small bid to see if it would get filled, and then they decided to ape. What the fuck? That would have 100% been sold into, by the way. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I don't see that much like buying action yet from market buyers or takers as we call it. Short seller daily open. Potentially. I mean, like what I see currently in perps is there's a massive seller around 71,700 to 71,800 around this area. For that like to basically play out, like I wouldn't really short here because it's kind of risky since like any headline or large buy at this point can easily blow you out. I'd rather look for if there's a reversion in price, basically price going from 170 like 71,700 down to 70,600. If that occurs, then I would then be looking for considerate or considerable rather passive buying around that, and it was the previous POC and basically a multi-composite consolidation around this price area tends to be high probability for a nice price reaction. Front running the open. Wait, you talking about the short seller that's front running? Because maybe. Um, yeah, I mean it's bullish. Like this is bullish in terms of the multi composites, especially if we come back down here and then we get a strong reaction, which leads to one a higher high in price, and then secondly a stronger continuation. Rather if we get a breakout or continuation. I mean, yeah, like we'll know. I think the first 15 minutes of the open. Open is in like 13 minutes. That's typically how it goes. I mean, between now, like the 10 minutes before open is usually just Omega chop. I I think we might have. I mean, these are whatever, to be honest. Export price, yeah, obviously higher. These are definitely inflationary. Non-fuel industry supplies, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah, tomorrow will be a pretty important open. We might see front running of these around probably 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Honestly, it entirely depends on TradFi. I just see on Bitcoin futures someone's trying to sell a ton of Bitcoin. But end of the day, like if equities are quite strong at the open and they remain strong for like the first 15 minutes, that tends to be more of a continuation sign for Bitcoin. Uh, Primarily because Bitcoin is now very correlated to equities. Speaking of which, let's have a look at some alts. Oh, you know what? I made a crypto one. Why don't I not start that? There we go. I made this yesterday. Tau Prime. Yeah, I mean, I've seen like Tau shield constantly on the timeline. Every alt is trading around resistance, but it's not selling off yet. And this, same as Bitcoin, basically. So Bitcoin leads. I think we might see some outperformance end of week by alts temporarily. Coordinated shield, yeah, probably. I mean, if we go to, we'll go to this one, and then we'll go to like again alts. We'll type in. We'll literally be able to see it. Yeah, can I get rid of that shit? Okay, so we need to change this. Sapuka. Yeah, we can have a look at Filecoin as well. That. Probably going to get Kayataka to make that default so it defaults to the ticker up here instead of me having to do that every single time because it's kind of annoying. Single. They don't have an order book thing for this? What the fuck? Alright. I mean, this has been consistently trending. There's definitely coordination. But near the spot, not the perp. Alright, yeah, now we'll see it. Yeah, it does look pretty coordinated. Spot buying occurs just before there's a tick up in leverage. Yeah, like here. Yeah, so this is a coin that'll trend pretty persistently, I think, up until whoever's obviously buying and moving up price stops buying. It's very typical of like those kind of up only, quote unquote up only alts of like 2024, 2025. Whatever his name is, shilling Tau like crazy. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people shilling it like all over the timeline. Title of your trades. Uh, I'd use Kayataka, which is that. Yeah, Richard, do you wanna copy paste the link for me into chat? I mean, you can avoid it, yeah. Like, you can technically trade it. Like the way I would trade it is around like obvious key levels where you can actually apply, you know, TA to it. Where do my drawing tools go? Alright, yeah, I can use this. Yes, like a level like this. So you have your initial high, and then like you'll notice price just kind of like chops around. And then eventually you get a clean break of it around here, and you get a close enough retest, which is essentially where you would want to get in. Which is here. What the fuck did I do to the tools? Aramogo? Yeah, so you would want to get in essentially on the retest here. That's how you would play it. Kayataka. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, anything? Yeah. I mean, those two are like the two VC dudes, right? So I mean, you got to keep that in mind. That I mean, not saying like all VC guys are bad, but those two in particular tend to shill something for exit liquidity. Same as like their IPO stuff. For someone who's new to seeing these things, volume deltas, it's a good starting point to keep on the chart. I mean, I'd say if you're new to this, like, learn open interest first, which is open interests and probably delta first. So, like, essentially, you can summarize the CVD as the movement in delta. So when CVD goes up, it typically means there's positive delta, right? And when it goes down, there's negative delta. And when you combine it with open interest and price action, you can typically work out around about roughly how much of the market is either long or short. Like for instance, if I go to like earlier when I was tweeting about it. And it works really well on lower time frame. So it's a lower time frame type tool. Yeah, so around this range, I tweeted it before, and you can also use footprint to confirm it, which is quite nice. So you see, like, you know, obviously CVD goes down, make that red. But you see the OI, which is this one, obviously increasing. With price, obviously, in terms of price action, you typically get like a wick like that, right? And then you get a pretty flat, like flat high, which essentially means price essentially goes sideways here, and there's no attempt to make a higher high or push above it. And you can look in terms of like the overall like delta, it's usually like quite negative, as well as like positive delta is more often like someone opening sell orders into price using limit orders. And typically when that happens, you can see at each high you had positive delta, and then price reverses, and that's how you know that there is a active seller around this price level. And it's more so obvious as well when price returns to around the price, or if not higher, you'll start to see open interest decrease. Plus, with like the negative delta, then tends to become bought up. So that's essentially like, you know, the shorters getting out and then the market getting long. As problems with TPOs aren't really loading. This week's TPO loading before. Interesting. The TPO should work fine. I guess it depends on the settings you have, maybe. Do I really have to refresh it? Dude. Yeah, so I primarily use daily. I think I haven't tried the weekly. There might be a bug with like the weekly and the higher time frame ones. Um, Plus, probably for weekly, you'd want to use like a daily block size. They only have 4 hour. They should definitely offer a daily. Oh, price is moving up. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we should see the short seller getting pushed here. If price sustains above here, it's likely the short getting pushed out. Like this is all I think the short, the deleveraging right now. Yep, open as well. Makes sense. Alright, yeah, so that is the short getting out. And probably some longs. Does it increase liquidity around 72? Wrong one. Change it to 15. Yeah, so futures are pushing to the highs now. This should lift Bitcoin as well. Yeah, these longs. You can see here this negative delta, right? Plus the OI increasing in the CVD, right, which is showing up. These are passive buyers. So like whenever price went down to this price and then bounced instantly, that was one large long. Well, 5 mil, not like super large, but yeah, Kayataka is really good. It's I think the best iteration in terms of tools, utility, and products. To be honest, as of now, like before, it was Velo. Like I think Velo's data is probably deeper. Um, but I think if they stepped up that chart game to be more of like terminal, then they'd be able to compete better with a product like this. I guess ES went up, got knocked back down. Dollar is trying to push up. Interesting, interesting. This charting is technically called autoflow, but the site is Kayotaka. MMT. Um, I need to get on it. I know MMT is like leading. The guy behind it is really, really smart. Monday's had a big resistance so far. Yeah, I mean, 72k is like massive resistance. Yeah. I mean, I would say if we fail to continue climbing up within this candle, to be honest, on the open, increases the odds of a sweep down later. Yes, like make it or break it, this one. The settings for my footprint. You can use you can use one tick or three ticks per bar. If you want it to be super granule, like really, really precise, one tick. So like on lower time frames, I tend to use like one. MT is like crypto watch with exit shots. Yeah, yeah, it has a ton of functionality in it, like massive amount. I saw he released like a companion thing too, which is pretty cool. And I think it definitely helps when it comes to like users that are just getting into like order flow trading. Okay, that's a good sign that we have a passive buyer that's trying to move price up. It's the same buyer, I think, from here. So we need to auction, I think, above 72. Otherwise, we're going to get a reversal. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think like before even getting into order flow, you need to learn reading price action trading. All right, watch this right here. say 4 mil, 3 mil, 4 mil. So someone's like actually buying. Probably a little algorithm that's trying to push price up right now. And there's likely a desk that's trying to sell right here at 71,900. You can see it's 5 mil on the side. There's 4 mil here. On AMT. Valuable too. Yeah. I vaguely remember that actually. That's on YouTube, right, Pooka? Yeah, yeah. OI is massive. I mean, if you want to trade reversals, you basically just need OI and then just trading price. Because more often what happens is you see a ton of positioning open into a big like support, a big resistance, and then what happens is price typically runs out of momentum because of the absorption, right? And then that is like a amazing signal for essentially trading against the market. AMT lecture series on that. Yeah, I think I remember watching them like a couple of years ago. Three mil, 2 mil, 2 mil, 2 mil. It's staggered around here. What we really need is futures to move up. You know what I might install is Bookmap so I can get the ES heat map. C2M. I know CTM pretty well. I think he likes the precision which Exoshots has, comparably. I think like obviously yeah, Kayataka's TPO needs more work. But for like a high level trader like him, he wants very, very precise levels, which Exochart's TPOs will be better at. I think that's what he means. Yeah. So if you want like a pretty simple TPO that does work, you can use Kayataka. Yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah, the sell is just sitting on price. It's a matter of, I guess, when he gets blown out if we continue to get this bid. Um, the only time I assumed it might have been the same buyer that was buying around here is same size, as well as pretty similar like signature, which is essentially they sell like the high of the wick, like the high of the candle, and then they buy at the low of it. So if I also assume it would be a fairly high frequency algorithm, which is actually moving price. Some big stacks of IBIT delta decay above 92. Yeah, true, true. So the cool thing with IBIT, and thanks to Richard for this, technically, since I wasn't following it that much at the time, but IBIT and Bitcoin are very, very correlated, especially on high time frame trends. Oh, that's a huge gap. Let's actually see. Yeah, so like most gap ups we do trend and then there's like a reversal later on. Yeah, around like 3 p.m. So if we trend from now, we should see hypothetically a reversal around 3 p.m. So like afternoon. Yeah, okay, so let's see if the same buyer then buys like the low of the wick somewhere here. It's usually about the same size. I don't think it's buying it. Well, those are shorts. These two. 6 7 years. The market is like. I mean, yeah, like the most powerful thing with experience, especially when it comes to, I think, very low time frame, like trading, like call it order flow trading or whatever. It's the impact on price, and you quickly recognize which things are just noise and which things actually have an impact to create a trend or end one. 1 minute time, maybe. I don't think Kaitak is that accurate when it comes to like 1 minute ticks. I suppose so. Hmm. It looks like it's an algorithm that's buying whenever longs get stopped out. That's actually quite funny. 1 second shots. Yeah. 8 mil. Yeah, longs are being hunted. Like this long here. It's being sold into. Yeah, okay. I would say this is now a lot more predatory price action. Predatory, in other words, is essentially whenever a significant enough size, which can be used as liquidity by these algorithms, is going to be sold into or bought into. Like earlier with the clear seller around the high, price kept going straight into it because the algorithm was probably trying to test them. You can just type in the volume footprint and you'll get a bunch of settings like this. I just use the delta. I tend to use volume footprint because I think the aggregation brings in more noise personally. So I mean, you could trade like Binance's per book or Bybit or Hyperliquid. It should work quite effectively in all three. Yeah, look, more longs got stopped out, and then it starts buying again. And then when shorts come, it'll probably do this. It's man, it's so predatory. These are the kind of conditions you don't trade in, just FYI. Actually, on that, I'd say the best positioning is typically before US Open, if not around. What time was this? Yeah, so like either afternoon US time, if not early morning, which tends to be like late Asia going into European hours, if not like afternoon US, tends to be the best times to get in to the market. That was post New York lunch break yesterday. Yeah. 3 p.m. would have been post lunch. Has access to information about Iran's response to the American plan, its conditions for ending, which will be published in a few moments. Ooh. What is further output cuts? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if we get like a end of the war this week, April's still going to be quite messy, I think. I haven't tried MMT's TPO, but I can get MMT and then try it next stream if you guys want that. When he sets predatory, who's actually getting stopped out? I mean, it's just a numbers game, so it doesn't really particularly matter if there's a sizable enough position, like 1 mil plus, usually. In terms of deltas, that's probably like 5, 10 mil, like actual notional. Um, these algorithms or firms tend to use those positions as liquidity to push the market around. I guess in the end, like the retail is going to get stopped out the most. Showing the liquid Oman crude futures chart. Yeah, I saw that posted earlier by this guy. Yeah, this is fucking crazy. There would literally be zero liquidity, I think, for this shit to happen. I mean, let's actually go to it. It's DME, I think. Oman oil. Oh, that does not look like it. What the fuck is this? Wait, is that actually it? No way. Micro DME. I don't even know what contract it is, so I don't think anyone uses it, really. But yeah, that shit's crazy. Brought back 100 million in physical gold. Ah, so that they're looting the vault. That's funny. Micro. Honestly, it depends. Like micro contracts can be attractive because of the lower cost basis, but also for the contract terms, it really depends on how much like collateral someone has to put up. Let's ask Grok for the ticker. OQD apparently. Dude, what? That's not it. CG. Yeah, it's like the one I was on. What the fuck? But it's not same. This is meant to be it, but it might be broken. I got no idea. All right, 1 hour. We'll go 4 hour. DMF. I can't copy that apparently. Hold on. Yeah, that is the ticker apparently. I use the same one, but it doesn't show, surprisingly. Do I have to go to like 1 day? Okay, on the 1 day it does. Like if I go to a line. I think honestly it's probably just a case of really shit data reporting. It only works on the day, which means my guess they stopped recording data maybe on Monday. Something broke or something like that. Extremely unusual. I've never seen that happen with a micro contract like ever. Ooh, okay. Well, keep this in mind. This is the 200 EMA on the 1 day, right? And this tends to be where you want the market not to sell off from, essentially. So that gives us 1 to 2 day timeline in terms of getting a end war agreement, peace agreement, whatever they call it, doesn't really matter. As long as it's a strong form of de-escalation, that would be good enough for the market to rally. Like say, I don't know, like bounce like here, that would be pretty good. And then maybe bad news comes in like April of the economy and then it rolls back down. That would be like the whole bear market bounce thesis. 292 total contracts. Oh, that's like fuck all. Like if we compare that to like CL daily contracts volume. I mean, if I just go to volume, it'll show me. Be like 2 million contracts. 1 million. Like low volume days are like 450k. I'm on. It says. I got Grok to get me this. I'm looking on my phone, but apparently it was 90,205 contracts on the front month. This equals to roughly 90 million barrels. That's on the Oman, and then on CL it's 1.1 million contracts, which is a fuck ton. Yeah, it's like 90,000 compared to 1.1 million. I think, okay, to be honest, I think everyone thinks Trump is just retarded at this point and like shit posting because market bad to him, right? Skill issue, yeah, true. Iran will end the war at the time of its own choosing, press TV. Whatever the fuck that means. Only if its own conditions are met. Okay. So they're doing like the whole thing. So like Iran is trying to do what Trump does in terms of his negotiations, which is like, hey, here are my points. Agree to them or fuck you, basically. Correct. So yields and oil, he doesn't like those two moving upwards. If he sees oil go up too much and yields at the same time, he panics. Like every single time. Yeah, true. I honestly, at this point, I think to be honest, that you have officials in Iran, officials in the US trading the market, and they're both trying to make as much money while they pretend they're not going to end the war, which in reality they're going to end it in like a couple days anyway, probably. They just want to like milk money. That's my theory, at least. 5,000 per day normal, so right. Yeah, that's insane. If 293 contracts traded a 20% move, or almost 20%, that's fucking crazy. That means it's like one contract alone that's nuts. That's like marketing in some like really liquid shitcoin and watching it go up like 10%. Iran's press TV citing official. The first condition for ending of the war is the end of attacks and assassinations. Okay, so that's directed at Israel, not US. So okay, this makes sense. The demands Iran probably has initially is to get the US to contain Israel from being stupid and not pushing the war into a regional war, right? Tehran livid, blah blah, that it would continue defending itself. I take that as more as Iran doesn't want to seem weak, so they're kind of just going to iterate. We are strong, therefore we're going to keep throwing drones and ballistic missiles at whoever. Really, it's like the same as the past 2 days, but they both seem to want de-escalation. It's a matter of how. That seems to it. I think I have his truth social somewhere. Alright, give me a sec, let me grab it. Truth social Trump. Okay, what the fuck? Does that give me a bunch of ads? I have an ad block on this. Does he even post anything new? He doesn't, I think. Alright. I keep trying to follow what's happening. Yeah, pretty much just like headline, chop. He said, she said on a daily. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we got some short spell in it. Not significant size yet, just the usual. If they keep pressing on with those headlines, we might get that trade that I was looking at earlier play out. We got in CVD market selling into price. They weren't buying. We need market buyers to crack 72k. Oh yeah, I think risk analysts are probably like hating their job, especially at the big banks right now. Honestly, it seems like everyone's just trading this at the moment. Like on that slight dip that we had here, price is trying to push up here. Let's make a. Oh, dude, this makes it so obvious where like people are long it. Like all these, like perpetual longs into price. It's all of that, all of this. That's singular long. Some longs here. limit long. You think everything tops? Oh, when like SpaceX IPOs? Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like tech and AI might top in terms of valuations. Because I think didn't isn't SpaceX and like AI, like Grok AI, what have they called their company, merged into the one IPO? Yeah, true. The VWAP tends to be quite quite nice. Aaron checks proposal. Aaron demands the establishment of concrete guarantees to prevent. Yeah, I mean this is obvious. Like Iran wants Israel in some kind of muzzle. So they essentially want Israel not to then go and like bomb them in the future. Because I think Iran knows eventually that there's going to be a second like kind of war against them, right? Walter, yeah, Iran demands clear deterrence and guaranteed payment. Okay, that's not fucking happening. No way in hell is that happening. That might actually piss Trump off because he doesn't like people asking him for money. So not good. So that's 5 conditions. Okay, so these are 2 conditions. Put Israel on a cage, yeah, pretty much. I mean, if I'm being real, like you got toddler 1, which is Israel, toddler 2, Iran, toddler 3, Trump, US. Put them all in cages. If that happens, markets are probably happy. They still haven't paid the Vietnamese for it. Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, no. The US will never like pay back when it comes to a war. I mean, if you just look at like World War II's history, and the fact that they like completely leveled a German city like every single night towards the end of the war, and I believe they didn't pay them shit. I think they probably are. Like I honestly think Iran's probably trading on like some decentralized exchange. There's no way they can trade the markets because they're banned from like fucking everything, right? They're known to have a lot of crypto, but the wallets aren't always known, right? So my guess is they would probably be trading on like some crypto exchange. So basically, yeah, when Burger's awake. Yeah, I mean they're fighting through press, and they're also probably fighting on order books, which is crazy. I mean, yeah, so they made the Germans fair, obviously, in World War One, and that pissed the Germans off, which made World War Two like actually occur. So the whole saying of when push comes to shove, you know. Iran says it wants the end of war on Iran and other resistance groups in the region. Yeah, okay, this is another demand, basically, to say they don't want to fight Israel, essentially. They want Israel out. I actually don't think the US could probably do that. Yeah, yeah, okay. Some shorts are starting to stack in. Not that much yet though. Yeah, that's a bottom tick short. If price goes up. Let's see. Yeah, 10 a.m. I mean, if you want like a lower time frame strategy, you can quite literally like do this. I think it's this. And then this is probably like the range. This is usually what happens. You can use like the first 30-minute candle. So that's like the high of the, also known as I think like the IB or whatever. If you do not want to pay for CME extension, yeah. Literally, just use QQQ or SPY. I only use the ES or the CME because the institutional guys trade it, and it has. I mean, it's futures, so it trades like predominantly all the time, except weekends at the moment. So it tends to, at least for me, have a better correlation. What's my role at Orderly? Initially, it was community, but now I'm building some pretty cool agentic infrastructure for Orderly. So, like, eventually, sometime soon, you'll be able to do like one-click trading with Orderly and Starchild, which is Starchild is the AI which Wu is building. I think the biggest thing I'm working on at the moment is pretty soon as well with like AI, you'll be able to one prompt build a DEX, a launchpad, a prediction markets. Um, I guess like anything in terms of trading, since like Audely has its own like settlement layer, which is a bit different to like Hyperliquid's L1, whatever. I think this is way lower volume than usual. If we are a one-man shop, what type of tools should we build for ourselves using? It depends what you want in the end, to be honest. Like I think it's nice being able to build your own like dashboards. Like for instance, you can get like an API key from CoinGlass to get data. And then you can build some pretty cool stuff. Like you can do like different matrices, which is like, your like X, Y, Z graph. And then you can do it in like Z-score. And that allows you to basically rank alts by like strongest or weakest. Then when you apply like delta in terms of that, you can have in like a 1 hour or 4 hour or like a 1 day period, and you can see which alts have like positive delta, which have negative. And then you can add in like other uh, points or references, which could be like volumes, like, increasing volume every like hour plus like positive delta would be a strong trending asset. So you can build a nice dashboard that then allows you to spot opportunities in the market more quickly, I think. Yeah. So like Ape Trade built something pretty similar. Um, and I mean the cool part is you can build the same. I actually do plan to do a lot more content around how to build applications from like trading to like open claw bots, etc. Yeah, yeah. Stock as well. He's quite good with developing with AI now, I believe. Yeah, yeah, true, true. I don't use Orion as much, but yeah, you can definitely use like they have enough filters which you can basically select, so you can do like 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, and you have the ability to spot like reasonable trends to take advantage of. That should be good enough. And then you do that. Yeah, so like obviously these two, well, the majors. Oh, I change. Okay, so that has a decent correlation to PTC. We should actually have a look at XRP. It was on the 4 hour data. Okay, yeah, so it was this candle which took out a shit ton of longs. At face value, it doesn't look great. Yeah, I think like the idea of customization is massive. Like if you can basically take like Orion's screen as it is, right? But then you want to summarize it down into like 3 to 5 max, um, like data points, whether it's like a wire change, CBD, volume, funding, like whatever it may be, and then simplify it into a cleaner screener. List creation aspect as well. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll probably try it out later. That's pretty big resistance. Okay, Solana swept 90, then bounced into the 1 day trend. Yeah, I'd probably favor buying a dip rather than here, to be honest. Another tap of VWAP. These are longs chasing. These are longs chasing again. I think people are trying to buy the dip. Yeah, I mean, okay, so for me, the tools give me a more concise view. That concise view allows me to have better execution, which essentially is getting in at better times or better price points. That's ultimately what you want in the end, is these tools and data sets to improve your entry and exit, basically. Yeah, yeah, Delhi. Well, it has been, but also I think there's like clear weakness here. Yeah, and true. Like this is market selling from spot, so that would require some pretty heavy passive buying on spot here, which would mean you would want to see equities rallying. So to trade that, I guess you would want to see ES above like 660s, 6,650. Otherwise, like chill. Talks won't happen until the five conditions are met. Once international recognition of authority over no way in hells are happening. Need guarantee against any future attacks on country. Okay, okay. I think in terms of like how strong arming goes, in terms of especially negotiations around war, they set really, really high demands. What's going to happen now probably is they get bombed some more, and then there'll be more negotiations later. I would keep an eye out on headlines around whatever gets hit both ways, especially if it's potentially a form of escalation. That would be very risk off for the market. So I think market's going to be very choppy. Like we resolve this range either 77 or 66. Yeah. I mean, I think like if we get a de-escalation or like an actual end of war, it really matters where price is. I think at that point, right? So if price is like here, um, the probability for us swinging to yeah like 77, 78 is quite high, if not like squeezing much higher, especially if it's not expected by the market. But if we're trading, I don't know, lower than I think like this low and like some de-escalation happens, it's less likely to be high. I'd be like maybe here. But also the worse, ironically, the worse risk assets look in like next 2 days. Plus, if like news just gets worse, it's not good. How I would probably trade it is I would let the market come to me. Basically set like, your important levels. Let the market chop around as it is. And then when it trades around like that could be, like I said, right, the daily open area plus the POC of this entire range. That would be where I get interested to take a long trade. If not, if we're trading above, say, this high, right, and like 72 and the 1 day trend, I would then be looking for really, really strong momentum if I'm gonna chase it. I'm seeing a lot of people say that boots on the ground on Friday. Maybe. I mean, Trump has always done something after close on Fridays, so that's possible. They tend to do stuff on the weekend, and then they essentially like release some kind of like bullshit thing, whether it's a news presser or Trump like tweeting, right, to essentially calm markets down. Let's actually check. This roughly 1,000 troops from U.S. armies. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that the troops that they're mobilizing is part of the negotiation, which is essentially like agree to our terms or somewhere in the middle. Otherwise, we're going to seize Karg Island. And the only way they're going to get to Karg Island, by the way, is probably going to be in like those blackout rubber boats with like probably Apache jet support. There's no way in hell they'd send a ship in there. Yeah, yeah, pretty much like whole lot of nothing, whole lot of yap for like the weekday, and then bomb shit on the weekend. Okay, this is in terms of reading price action. Anyone that knows candles, this is a classic indecisive doji. So at this point, you would likely see, like as you're seeing now, right, sellers try to push for control, and the point that sellers probably get control would be below the VWAP. Till then, personally, I would just like sit on hands because it's just going to be like a complete shot fest. I used to use Bookmap back in the day for BTC trading. Um, I think I stopped using it because Bookmap was quite resource intensive. Yeah, daily PSC, VWAP, big level, yeah. Iran's initial response to the US proposal, not positive, but Tehran is still reviewing the proposal. What day are we as well? We're like Wednesday. Yeah, it's just 2 days still. A lot can happen in 2 days. I think we'll see probably more headlines later today. I think US is going to respond. Tehran either's going to like it or strongly dislike it. That'll be another kicker for volatility in the market. Say 3 p.m. probably. That seems to be around where shit occurs. But Friday seems to be the most likely day for something to happen. It's also, I think, the end of the 5 day window, initially set by the U.S. admin or Trump for Iran to negotiate. Norris. I quite like doing these streams. If you guys want me to do them like more often, let me know. I also plan to do uh, a weekly open stream with Orderly, which I think would be quite fun. Uncertain, yeah. I think like it's the obvious. I mean, I've been through quite a few periods in the market where it was like chaos, and you have to remain quite unbiased in a way. You analyze what's happening, and then you think in terms of actualities, because like everything has a cause and effect, and if you could work out generally what the cause and effect is, there's like always a trade in that. Ukraine blowing up. I thought it was like I saw like some headline that Israel hit some Russian shit, and Ukraine also hit something as well. And then like, wasn't it a Russian drone hit like some Estonian power thing? I'm not entirely sure what to make out of that, but I mean, definitely keep an eye out on what Russia does, because if they escalate, which is they start targeting NATO countries, um, then that's where you can kind of consider the potential for it to grow into like more of a direct world war. I think very unlikely because like one, NATO's not prepared for a serious conflict. Like leadership wise, NATO's useless. They have a ton of arms and forces, but again, like it's mostly Poland and Turkey. The rest of NATO don't have. I don't think they have the means, not even close, for a conflict, especially a war of attrition, which is what you're going to fight against Russia. U.S. Luga, Leningrad region strike has been reported. Tanker Shadow Fleet is on fire. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so if it's a part of the Shadow Fleet, that's one like 100% proxy war stuff. This would have been the US giving intel, and this is important, right? So the US giving intel to the Ukrainians to hit that Shadow Fleet it's simply because the Russians gave the Iranians intel on US infrastructure, like the early detection system for like the HIMARS. That's what the Russians gave specifically to the Iranians, and the Iranians sent a shit ton of drones, which eventually hit these early detection systems. So it's proxy war crap. Distracted, trying to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what China's going to do. They could choose to. I think the time of window for, let's say, China to do what they want to do, it's the time window and the opportunity is really small. That would be only if the war in the Middle East grows into like a massive regional war, or something like Russia, Iran, NATO, and the US, because then essentially China could just like walk in, because there would be pretty little resistance. I mean, they have like Korea, Japan, the US as well have a ton of infrastructure there. same as Taiwan, but again, it's a war of attrition and volume. That's about 11 days. Yeah, I saw that headline. Yeah, it's a huge problem. Like, I mean, even like since I live in Australia, right? By middle of April, it's very likely that we won't have like petrol, diesel. Diesel runs the entire like economy essentially, so that's bad. And we get everything from refineries in Asia, and if the refineries in Asia don't have anything, same as LGN, then you have the second largest, if not probably the largest economy in the world, which is Asia as a whole, right? Besides America. When that comes to a standstill, that has global impact. Yeah, I'm Aussie. Taiwan Strait is calmest stable June. Okay, that's interesting. So if that's true, then that could be an interesting early detection, right? If you see higher than typical volume of like warship activities and planes from China in the Strait during like April, May, that could be early detection that they're going to try to do something. Yeah, it's crazy that yeah, Australia has huge deposits of oil. The thing is, the government's too stupid to formulate a plan to drill oil. Bentley Kiev ranked third best in the dealerships. Oh, interesting. Yeah, U.S. taxpayer. Yep, yep, yep. I mean, I think I may be wrong, but I think the current governments and politicians will have a reckoning in the next elections because the average voter is against both conflicts in the Middle East, so they're going to vote for the opposing party. And like any money that's basically sent from their country, so that taxpayers' money, which is sent overseas for like some stupid war that they're not related in, right? Is also going to be a big factor in the coming elections. Which keep in mind, in like a year or two, it'll impact the market. Oh, that actually was the headline. Oh, that's funny. You want to see the definition of chop? It's this zone, like right here. We got longs chasing price higher. We got shorts chasing price down, and then the shorts bail out, and then the shorts try again. Nice. Yeah, we got a spoof there, which means they're gonna probably try 42 mil. That's around the size that they usually use to try push price down. Classic. All right, let's take a glimpse at futures. I gotta reload it. That back up. Doll's down. VIX is down. 17 minutes till close. Also, BTC typically lags by like 5 to 15 minutes between equities. Wow, the Canadian dollar's not doing well at all. Some pressure on the USD. The UK index still higher. DAX kind of maintaining. SPX sort of. Global yields. Basically unchanged, I would say. Yeah, I mean, sometimes ES baths, but pretty rare. Like the only time ES or NQ baths is when liquidity is like really thin. Ooh, gold looks good. Previous low though. So that does tend to be resistance. Copper too. Okay. Before I end, I would say in terms of macro, keep an eye on equities and gold probably. Yes, and gold. Because if gold remains strong and starts to reprice some of the downside, it's probably the market starting to hedge against inflation. That has previously been positive for Bitcoin, and then obviously negative in terms of policy. So if like central banks become more hawkish and start hiking, that's bad for Bitcoin, obviously. Um, and then equities, just in terms of general risk, I think sentiment, risk off, risk on. Yeah, otherwise, avoid the chop for now and probably don't get liquidated. I'll keep an eye out on this play as well later. See if I can get a long down here. That'd be sweet. Otherwise, I will stream probably 9 or 10 a.m. tomorrow as well. Probably 9, so then we can cover the payrolls. Yeah, the jobless claims. I mean, I can also look for shorts if you guys want that as well. Typically, yeah. The only reason I have a long bias at the moment is any form of de-escalation moves the market significantly more at the moment than like bad news, apparently. That's what I've seen at least. Like, I mean, the news today was pretty negative, but it's like hardly moved price that much. Like, equities are kind of just ignoring it for the most part. Other than that, I'll cover both. Yeah, otherwise, catch you guys tomorrow, same time. Yeah, exactly. We showed relative strength, yeah. Yeah. I'll see you guys same time tomorrow. Thanks for stream.